Hello illustrious elucidation chemistry graduate. This is the last chapter of Dr. Stone. Let's go. So what happened in the final chapter again? The Whyman and Medusas left the moon. The astronauts and just one of the Whyman returned to the Earth. Okay? Time skip and Taiju and Yuzuriha are finally married. Cool, congrats. Scientists explaining that Medusas work by manipulating Higgs field, both to petrify human and to float around. There it is. I'll be focusing more on that in this video. I know there is also that time machine and the diagram, nice. And if I remember correctly from Kurzgesagt, negative mass is required to keep wormhole open. And wormholes can be used to traverse space and time. But I'm not really qualified to talk about this, right? Although to be fair, the other thing is regarding particle physics. So, as you heard a sentence ago, particle physics is definitely out of my field of expertise as chemist. For chemistry, the model of atoms made of protons, neutrons, and electrons is enough. But it's definitely not enough at smaller scale than that. So, from what I understand about standard model of particle physics from watching various YouTube videos, there are 4 elementary particles times 3 generations, some forces carrier which explains only 3 out of 4 fundamental forces, and there is also Higgs boson, related to the Higgs field that gives other particles mass but not exactly the same. If a particle doesn't interact with Higgs field, it's massless and moves at the speed of light, and the opposite is true if it does interact. Electrons interact with Higgs field, but for proton and neutron, which are composed of quarks, the individual quarks do interact with Higgs field, but most of their mass are from the energy of the strong nuclear force, or in standard model it's called the gluon. Remember the thing written on Senku's cloth, E = mc²? The energy of gluon is the mass of proton and neutron, basically. Back in chapter 157, it was found using XRF that petrified human or swallows are made of iron and carbon and gold, elements with 26, 6, and 79 protons respectively. If initially organisms are mostly made of carbon and hydrogen and oxygen, which has 6 and 1 and 8 protons each, does adding mass using Higgs field manipulation makes more of the protons? At first, I'm confused about that, until I realized that not only the protons gain mass from Higgs field manipulation, the electrons too. According to Bohr's atom theory, which will later carry over to the modern atom theory, electron can orbit only at integers energy levels, and in the equation, there are things like mass of electron and charge of electrons. If the Medusa can magically add mass to the electron in the equation, that means the energy of the electron also increases. Since XRF involves the energy levels of electron in an atom, of course the energy of the photons involved also increases. So that means the XRF detector thinks they're looking at high energy photons coming from elements with more proton. Well, that's alright. But does that mean that Medusa can give a lot of mass, meaning a lot of energy, that is E = mc²? Besides increasing the electron's mass, the Medusa probably increases the mass of the atom nucleus. So it's as if the Medusa increases this number without increasing this number. Same proton numbers, different mass numbers, those atoms are isotopes. The atoms in a petrified human or swallow are acting like heavier isotope atoms. This reminds me of a phenomenon called kinetic isotope effect. Heavier isotope causes a reaction to go slower because physical chemistry magic stuff. I think this explains why the stages of petrified human and swallow are unreactive to most chemicals. XRF falsely said the stages are made of iron, but they don't rust. The stages should be made of water and organic molecules, but the stages do not evaporate or decompose or anything. That's all I want to talk about the final chapter really. The XRF in chapter 157 got wrong results because of increasing electron mass and energy, and the inertness of petrified people is because of increased mass. And with that, Dr. Stone is over and Dr. Stone chemistry explanation is also over. Thank you to you that has been sticking around until now. And now, I guess I have to move on to another manga or anime.